Road Break family, welcome. It's been a while. We don't do lives a lot because questions of time, schedules, and everything. But welcome to this week in wrestling. We want to talk about everything that is happening, in all this week because there's always a lot of things to talk about, a lot of news, a lot of returns, everything that like the fallout of like Cash at the Castle, All Out, the Media Scrum, CM Punk. There's so many things to talk about, right, Paul? So welcome.
Yeah, this week it was one of those things where WWE, they have an all show. We did one of the best matches we've seen in a long time. Walter or Gunther, whatever, versus Sheamus for the IC title. Roman and Drew McIntyre was a fantastic match. The crowd in Cardiff, first pay-per-view over in the UK in 30 years. They were ready for it. They brought the intensity. You want to hear our full thoughts, listen to the review. But the one thing, and we reviewed all these shows, All Out, everything, but pretty much everything WWE did and the pay-per-view that AEW did, it was all overshadowed by everything that happened and the 12 hours that preceded. But we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about Dynamite, Monday Night Raw,
Everything.
and SmackDown right here.
Everything. So, please comment, let us know what you guys feel. They give us your comments, every single thing that is going on. Family, we're right here for you. So, Paul, let's start with the beginning of SmackDown because big news. Pat McAfee is not going to be part of the SmackDown team anymore. He actually signed up with ESPN. He's going to be doing college football. Something that he's been doing, that's his where he is really coming from. So, what do you think about that? Because
I like football more.
It's gonna miss, SmackDown is gonna lose a lot with Pat McAfee being gone.
Yeah, and the one thing I'm gonna say, maybe this is a blessing in disguise in a weird way, because Graves and Michael Cole is a pre-established team. They're not bad, and especially both guys are a little bit better because they're not having Vince McMahon in their ear. Yes. Now I want to see how Monday Night Raw is. Is this just going to be Jimmy Smith and Saxton? Is it just are we going to go back to now just two-man team on each show? Because they were doing a two-man team on SmackDown. The third hour doesn't require you to have a third man on commentary. Yes. You know what I mean? You don't need one commentator per hour, length of the show. That doesn't make any sense. So maybe Monday Night Raw, since we won't see Corey Graves there no more, unless he's going to be pulling double duty. Which, if so, then we will get sick of him because we'll be hearing his voice, twice a week.
They're probably going to get somebody else, but like you said, Pat McAfee added so much to, remember Nakamura, the whole act with.
But at least he'll be really back. Cool. I think is he just doing the college game day or is it NFL game day?
It's a full-time contract, but it's college games. I think that
Well, if it's just the college, then that's only for the college season, which is shorter than the NFL season and stuff. So he will be back, and he will be missed, his enthusiasm and stuff. Hopefully he can maybe work a match. Maybe he instead of just being a commentator, come back to an angle for a match or something. Something. But I mean, hey, good for him. And the one legit thing is WWE gave their blessing, so that was cool.
Oh no, yeah, Triple H was I'm all for it. We support Pat. He's cool and all of that. They need to just support him. He's a really good guy, and we really thank him for a lot that he's done for us. So, family, you have thoughts, you have comments, please help us out. We're live in YouTube, Facebook, also on Twitch. Soon we're going to be on Twitter also, those at the same time. So, be with us. And, the first match in SmackDown, Imperium going against, Sheamus and, his group. So this was a good match. Actually, a lot of time on this. I like this because it represented the rivalry that happened on Cash at the Castle. So we got to see more interactions between Gunther and Sheamus. But in the end, Imperium gets the win because this group deserves to have this type of recognition. I feel that the music is back, at least half of it. So this was really cool. And Sheamus is fine. Pete Dunne, actual Brutus, is actually coming back with his the attire that he was supposed to come out with, like Pete Dunne. So I'm cool with it.
I mean, as much as I love Walter and all this stuff, and actually tuned into SmackDown at 8:30, so I missed this entire match. But I'm going to be honest with you, the coolest thing in this picture is that giant Boo from Super Mario Brothers in the background next to the SmackDown logo.
Oh yes.
Yes. So no, I mean, but all jokes aside, I mean, Imperium back together is badass, but this feud with Sheamus and stuff, I mean, move Imperium on to something else. You say you don't have a number one contender. I mean, I know you probably don't want to beat Walter right away, but I mean, what the hell? It's right there now. Now you have the Bloodline versus Imperium. I mean, I'm not saying book it now, But maybe that could be something for some Survivor Series. If you kind
I
of
think
save
so.
that, or hey,
We're gonna
maybe
start, like you said,
do that, or
warming it up. I absolutely think about it. Like again, one more time, family, comment. Let us know what you guys feel about this SmackDown. Triple H being in creative control, he was actually now bumped up. He has a different type of role in WWE. Shawn Michaels also he has a new type of role, so that was cool, like you said. And also this is a great stuff for SmackDown because they need strong teams like this, like Imperium and Paul. Like the next thing was on this show, Solo Sikoa was the next member of the Anoa'i family to join.
Yeah, and this is where I tuned in. This is where
Sami Zayn. So I don't know what I'm doing.
This is where I tuned in, and I mean, Sami Zayn is so great with this.
Look who's back, Paul. Look at an old friend.
Yeah, we got Steven Butler in the house. What's up? Fellow rope break celebrity here. But no, I mean,
what's up, buddy?
This was great. Sami Zayn is talking. He's just like, yeah, I'm an Oos, and then Solo Sikoa looks at him. He's like, so you're the guy who Roman says is badass and is so legit? And Sami's like, yep, that's me. I'm legit. And then which one hates him? Does Jay like him?
Jay.
But Jay likes him. Yeah, Jay's like,
the other one is like, get in the groove, it's cool.
And then Jimmy's like, no, he's bullshit. And then I mean, it's so great. I mean, you gotta love Sami Zayn. It's perfect, him in this role, and he's the fall guy. And because then he was cutting this promo saying that the bloodline is stronger than ever, blah blah blah. Drew comes out with a chair. All the heels, man, they get out of there. Solo Sikoa stands strong, but like he should. Drew has the chair, whacks him, takes him down, and then all the heels eventually retreat. And Drew says he wants the match tonight. Solo Sikoa agrees, and because I guess nothing is booked beforehand, like we always say. We're gonna see the match, later on. So,
and this was good, like you said, for the first time, Solo is pretty much the missing piece. Like when you see pictures of the
now the only thing is
it's just the odd man. It's like
now they could say Solo Sikoa when he left the family and went to go be a fighting champion, on his own, then he could have changed his name. But do you think it's stupid that their name is Uso? And he's not they don't have the last name. If anybody was gonna change the name for a main roster, this would have been one that I think, okay, maybe you could have changed his name.
Yeah,
but because they all have.
Least, to me, at least keeping it fine from NXT to the SmackDown. At least it's progression in the story. It's not like Gunter or Da Vinci and the other were Ludwig something. I just want Marcel Bartel, Evan Ackner. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah, not Ludwig Borga. Yeah, we don't want him.
Yeah, exactly. So another thing that was interesting, at least because we needed to know number one contender for the SmackDown Women's Champion, was this elimination 5-way match. And this Natalya.
This was quicker than almost as quick as the elimination chamber match or whatever that was when Shayna Baszler killed everybody. Remember that one? It was Liv Morgan and Asuka and Natalya and all that when Shayna was still over before she went to go fight Becky Lynch. But yeah, I mean, this was Natalya just ran. I mean, not Natalya. Jesus, Ronda Rousey just ran through everybody, and she's over now though. She comes out, she acts like a bitch, like Adam Pearce called her the other night. And, they showed highlights of that, too. That was great. And Ronda's over now. See, people didn't like when she was smiling. Look how somebody, and I'm not saying Triple H does everything perfect, because there's a lot of stuff, especially on Monday Night Raw, and especially on NXT, that I still despise and think is awful.
To me, it's going to take time, though,
Yeah, but exactly. You can't flip it at a switch, like that, because like we say, if you do that, then it looks like it doesn't make any sense because that's not the natural progression of things. But I mean, hey, Ronda is at least being presented way more legit, way more serious, like she would actually be, and the crowd sees it and they like it.
Really will be, to her character. It's a real life.
So this was good, and I mean, it's just unfortunate to everyone she had to beat because Natalya's been there so long. It is what it is with her, unfortunately. But Isaiah Lee, you could maybe do something with, or some of these other women, okay, you could maybe do something with. But, Lacey Evans is another one that is just a failed experiment. That's like a Baron Corbin. There's a talented worker there underneath there somewhere, but just the gimmicks and everything, the way you present them is just so bad.
Oh yeah, and and the one thing that WWE kind of always does that it doesn't make a lot of sense is, for example, they gave you already kind of the winner because in the morning this is what came out. So right there, they give you.
Oh,
like,
well,
the
you want to
whole
talk about
poster of
giving winners
singles.
away to matches? Don't worry. When we talk about AEW Dynamite, we'll talk about giving away winners to matches and everything
There,
else.
so you know what I mean. So like they gave it right away.
Yeah.
So like the match that we're gonna see.
But I mean, honestly,
singles.
look, if you have the picture again of all the women, who was gonna win that? Come on.
Oh well, that like
Come on.
right there. Like yeah, like it's
Who was
really
gonna
hard to
win
not
that?
see that Ronda Rousey was gonna win. Lacey Evans, like unfortunately her return has been overshadowed, no direction. Xia Li still trying to find a niche. In the
That's like,
WWE,
who's the star of the band? Is it
deal,
Tom Petty or is it the Heartbreakers?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, come on, here. Like,
Absolutely.
let's be serious.
We're
here.
going to see this in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania Stream Rules. I think here Ronda Rousey is going to get the SmackDown Women's Championship back, and maybe Charlotte will make her return. I think that will be something that makes sense. So, Paul. And then another thing that like you will say that was of interest is the return finally in the brand with Braun Strowman. He's going to be a babyface in this brand. Like a lot of people wanted him back. To me, I didn't care for this guy when he was on the WWE. Now that he's back, I still don't care about him. Where want your thoughts, Paul? But like he's feuding right now with the Alpha Academy. So I mean, destroying being him. Get these hands, all the same stuff. Not interested in this guy, at least for the now. We'll see what they do, or like if he's going to be babyface, maybe he will put a good match for Roman. Hopefully,
He needs a good manager, and there is no good managers at all except Paul Heyman. And
Yes.
Paul Heyman is still out of action from that F5 he took through the table at SummerSlam. He's selling that legit. But I mean, Braun Strowman, we can talk about his return a little bit later when we talk about Monday Night Raw. But I mean, yeah, in this segment here, beat up Alpha Academy, of course, shush, all that bullshit. Strowman's great in the sense when he comes out, boom, and it's done. When you overexpose him, when he cuts a promo, or him and Alexa Bliss are on TV and she's sitting on his shoulder and all, it buries him. It kills him. Makes him look like an idiot. It makes him look like a WWF character with the ice cream bar land where it's haha for the kids. He needs to come out there, crush. He was over. There was a time where you and I both thought, man, this guy, he should beat Lesnar and he should be Universal Champ. And this was when Roman was babyface before COVID and all this stuff. Hey, let the guy have the run with a belt for a couple months. He's over. I don't know if he'll ever get that over again because we've seen it already. But with Triple H, maybe there's some new pieces, some new guys to feud with, new stuff going around. We'll see. Maybe he'll be okay. So I'm not going to judge it just yet, but I was surprised, to be honest, that he was brought back. You heard all the reports, so of course you assumed it was probably true. But I would have thought he was more of a Vince McMahon guy than a Triple H guy.
No, and like you said, it's like that was surprising because I was not counting.
But
on
then
him.
again, he was signed to NXT though. I believe he did start in NXT under Triple H, so Triple H probably signed everybody to NXT. I don't think Vince was signing anybody. Vince probably said, just get them ready for me.
Yeah, no, that's NXT is supposed to be a developmental, territory, or like, that's where you pull your craft, you create your own character. So, one more time, family, we're the original Road Break for every single one that is watching that is new. Hey, give us a subscription. If you guys love what we do, we cover all the world of the professional wrestling and more. As you guys can see, Jean Paul in the back has like an immense toy collection, like action figures, everything. He can tell you about every single line that is coming out, all the characteristics, all the features that every single thing has. But now, Paul, let's go to the main event because it was a good match. And you could see that like Solo Sikoa had a chance to win, but of course you're not going to bury Drew McIntyre one more time. And not that he was buried, but he lost to Roman Reigns. So you could see that like it was a chance for Drew to win. But again, Solo is his debut match. You're not going to have him lose. So what do they do, Paul? Karrion Kross comes out from the back, chokes him out. They do this black and white effect that is really good. Straight jacket. So this, for me, Paul, is
I knew as soon as the black and I knew he does the black and white in his entrance, but as soon as the black and white came up, I was like, I know Juan popped for that.
Oh yeah.
I know he popped for the black and white, but I mean, this is good. It sets up the match at Extreme Rules. It's building off the heat where Karrion, interfered a little bit in the match at Clash at the Castle. Everything makes sense, the natural progression of things. Karrion Kross, when he was on Monday Night Raw before, was feuding with Jeff Hardy, getting beat by him. Nothing against Jeff Hardy, but at the time, Jeff Hardy mid-card. Nothing against Jeff, but that's what he was. This time, Karrion Kross, he comes in, he debuts. How does a guy get over when he debuts? He needs to feud with somebody who's a main event guy. Roman Reigns and Karrion Kross. That's who he's feuding with. I mean, not Karrion Kross, Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. That's who Karrion Kross is feuding with, those two guys. So he's going after Drew right now. So he feels main event. And obviously he doesn't look like a loser, and he has the hot girlfriend or wife with him. So that definitely helps. But, this is one thing where this is good it gives Drew a break, because you don't want to see Drew and Roman again, because they're clearly not ready to take the title off Roman. They want to stretch this out, maybe either till WrestleMania or who knows when. But this is a good
absolutely
feud.
Right. So, I mean, this is good for both parts, because Drew can have
also
a good feud. And Karrion, I think he's going to benefit, because defeating a guy like Drew McIntyre is going to make everybody forget what happened with that failed experiment with Vince McMahon, Jeff Hardy, remember the helmet and all of that stuff that he has. So pretty much, Paul, that's what SmackDown was. So family, you're going to give us a minute. In the meantime, Paul, tell me a little bit more about this SmackDown. Do you feel that it changed? Do you feel that it's feeling a little more watchable?
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, another thing to comment on too, it was just a good, like you said, it was good to wait for Solo Sikoa to not lose his first match, because that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, well, what are they? Is Roman, or is it just going to be the same old shit where the Usos and the honorary Us Sami Zayn cost Drew the match, or what are they going to do? And then they did this with Karrion, and now we know it's confirmed who Drew's going to be going against at Extreme Rules. So I mean, this was good, and overall, besides the 8-man tag with the Mansoir and Hit Row and all that garbage. Besides that, I mean, that was really, the only big stinker on this show. SmackDown was all right. Like we said, 2 hours is a lot easier to watch than 3.
Oh, absolutely, Paul. So now we're going to actually switch hands, and we're going to go to Dynamite, because there's a lot to talk about. There was a lot of situations that happened because of All Out. We did that also, that pay-per-view, so that's also in the channel. So please, family, don't forget to watch us. Don't forget to see all of our thoughts, because CM Punk, Jon Moxley, Chris Jericho, all of that stuff. But the main thing is the media scrum. The media scrum, all this, what are your thoughts now that we have the chance to really go in depth? CM Punk attacks the Young Bucks. They go at it. Ace Steel was right there. I guess he's best friends and training with CM Punk. Kenny Omega got involved. Somebody's dog was involved also. So it was just a bad thing for the company. And a lot of people are saying that CM Punk should be fired, but he has the same injury as Cody Rhodes. The shoulder and everything, so he's going to be out for months. But after he comes back, they say, hey, no more CM Punk. Now just get rid of him. This is the opportunity. And now the Young Bucks and also Kenny Omega have been suspended from AEW.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of take it all in, like we say, everybody, it's been a few days. I'm sure if you know the story. If you don't, like we said, it was the rundown. To give the quick, not detailed version, because you can find a detailed version online very easily. They weren't happy with what CM Punk said, and we're not going to say anything he said. You can find that again online.
Trashing a little bit of
trashing it.
Stuff,
but I mean, it's just because when you start going into it, you can't stop, because it was the press conference or the press media scrum is hours long. But essentially, it said that the EVPs are shit, and they start rumors about him, and he don't like it. Well, they took offense to that. They went to go meet him in the locker room, and in the locker room, it was CM Punk, his dog, Ace Steel's wife. They commotion. Ace Steel comes in with a chair, knocks out Nick Jackson with a chair. He has a black eye. Matt Jackson got punched by CM Punk, and Kenny Omega got his hair pulled and stuff and got taken down.
He was biting somebody.
And Kenny Omega was biting Ace Steel and stuff. So there you go, Kenny Omega. He says that he wouldn't have hired 80% of the roster on AEW, and he bites people in a fight. So that shows you what kind of person he is. But that's what happened. And we can, with what Tony Khan did, I think leading into Dynamite was the absolute right decision, which I don't want to go there quite yet. But when you look at this, you're like, man, what do you do? Because like you said, fire CM Punk. Is that what you do? If you fire one, you have to fire everybody. How can you fire CM? That would be saying, like, you're sitting there on your front porch and somebody walks in your front porch, gets in your face, you defend yourself, but you go to jail and that other person can walk the streets scot-free. No, that's not right. If somebody's going to go to jail, it should be the aggravator. But if both people need to go, whatever. It's like you can't punish CM Punk and not punish them. Yeah, he shouldn't have said anything because he's the one who technically started it first. But who started it first? Because they were the ones on Twitter. You know what I mean? So if you really go down this rabbit hole, like Tony Khan said, he should have nipped all this in the bud when people were starting it and being petty in the little feuds. He let it get out of hand, which it's Tony Khan's fault. So I would say almost you have to just suspend the people and go see and go CM Punk. You know, while let's say he's hurt, and if it's a torn pec and he has to go get surgery, Tony Khan will pay it. Tony Khan will take care of all this stuff, medical, whatever, everything's legit. But as soon as he's healed and he's ready to come back, he goes, do you want to come back or do you want to leave the company? Like, do you hate everybody? Do you hate them? Blah, blah, blah. Like, do you want to go? If he wants to go, you let him go. But you don't just fire him. But, you know, and then, I mean, because I think with the way that maybe you just let it go. But I think you have to at least take away the executive vice president position from Omega and the Bucks, because no vice president will act like that in any company. Will confront with violence. No way. Even though that position was given to them as a joke, that would be like I say, okay, you know, this bottle of water is the executive vice president of Rope Break. You know, that's like what I can just name anything that's essentially what Tony Khan did to Omega and the Bucks to make them feel like, oh, we're legit, we're awesome, you know, we're
like the pioneers of the company.
But they don't do anything. So, but still, it's a position that means something in other companies. So they shouldn't have it, especially with acting like this. So,
absolutely.
I mean, that's what I think. I think just suspend him. Do what he did with the belts, which was relinquish them, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. You know, just kind of maybe 3 months or 6 months, even half a year. Let him, you know, really cool off. Don't be 2 weeks and then come back on TV. No, let it really cool off, or people almost forget about him. You know, then bring him back.
Like you said, it's like a lot of attention, but bad attention. A lot of people are saying this company is a joke, and all the haters are really like getting a lot of it. You know, are like really cashing in this, because like we told you that this was going to be, the egos are going to be bad. Tony Khan is not a good leader.
You got to think. Tony Khan's I'm not saying he's a bad person. He's a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I don't like his booking most of the time. But he helps with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think he helps with their soccer team. AEW, Ring of Honor. That's a lot of shit. I don't care if that's all you do. That's a lot of stuff. You know, then you're supposed to eat and sleep and, you know, just take care of yourself. So, no, that's a lot of stuff on your plate. Maybe he's going to realize, maybe I should just let somebody else completely book Ring of Honor, and I'll just, you know, I'll look over the final sheet before they air it. Yep, okay, that looks pretty legit. Yeah, go ahead.
Like
you know, he needs to lighten the load, because clearly he's too stressed. All this, you know, bad work environment. You heard Bobby Fish. You know, he left and he's crazy and challenged CM Punk to like a shoot fight, which of course CM Punk's not going to do. But here, what does he say? Completely agree with Jean-Paul. Tony Khan needs to take further action and put the Bucks, Omega, and Punk, when he is healthy, on notice that any further antics will result in firings. Yeah, you can't fire people right away, because, like I said, Tony Khan, he spread way too thin, and he wasn't focused just on his locker room going, man, these guys are really, you know, yipping at each other like little dogs. I need to squash this. Because that went in WWE. Well, one, there would have been a locker room leader like an Undertaker or somebody who would have shut this down immediately.
Well, that's the thing. There's not a guy like that. There's just not.
But yeah, well, there is a guy who would have been somebody like CM Punk, but you know, they're feuding with him, and they have their own little camp, and they have their own group of like the Nakazawa and Cutler, and they were also suspended too. And Pat Buck, is he the third young Buck?
Yes.
Pat Buck, is that why he got suspended too? I don't know why he got suspended, but Pat
I'll
Buck,
tell you something about. Finish the thought, and I'll tell you what.
And Christopher Daniels and all them. I mean, probably because they're in like the talent relations and all this stuff. And I heard some people came in to break up the fight too, and it was anybody who was involved who like sniffed the air when the fight was happening got suspended. It was like Tony Khan just went all out and just pretty much anybody in that room. I heard Larry the dog's not allowed back. No, I don't know, but it's one of those things where you got to suspend the people. You can't fire them right away because it's partially Tony's fault for letting it even reach this point.
Well, yeah, because like you said, like for example, like why is he saying all these things, in the middle of a press conference? That's when Tony should have been like the conciliator. He should have been, the person that like mediates everything. He's like, okay, don't go any further because this is gonna damage the locker room.
Well, he could have. I mean, he's sitting right next to him. He could have tapped him on the leg underneath the table
like, hey,
and something. And also, I want to ask you a question on that. I want to ask you a question on that too, and then you can answer it and continue your thought. I don't think it is. There's no way this could have been the first time Tony Khan heard these complaints from CM Punk. Do you think that's the case? Yeah.
No. How CM Punk, he can never be a locker room leader, and I'll tell you the why. Because he works for himself. I don't see him mentoring anybody. CM Punk is a guy that has his own opinion on everything, but he's not a guy that is able to be, hearing like anybody else's ideas. He's not open to do that. He's gonna tell you this is how you're gonna do it, and if you don't like it, then you have a beef with him. Pretty much that's what it is. He told Hangman Page, oh, maybe you should do this or you should do that. Hangman Page is like, look, I'm not gonna hear what you have to say. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're CM Punk. Beef. A guy like older than that you're older and you have more experience than Page. Just be like, okay, kid. When you sink, then you'll be like, oh, I told you so. You need to just be like different. So CM Punk's character is ego. There's a lot of ego against the Young Bucks. Like, see, Cody Rhodes is a guy that is mentoring people. So you see how humble he is in a lot of ways. And a lot of also, he just tries to like create stars. CM Punk is always been to himself. He doesn't, he has beef with with Kingston. He has beef with him, and that beef is real.
Did you hear what Kingston had to say? All the people he hates.
Yeah. So he has beef with Sammy Guevara.
For a shoot, he says, people who I hate in this company, like for real, not a joke. CM Punk, Chris Jericho, Bryan Danielson, Claudio, and I don't know if he said anybody else, and I don't know. I don't think he said Joe. But I'm thinking he said, man, he's all these old Ring of Honor guys. So they must have treated him like shit in Ring of Honor.
And see what I mean? And also Tony Khan should be the kind of guy, Paul, you're the owner of like you're the main guy, right? You should put him all, sit him down. All right, whatever the past is the past.
And I would have said, yeah, right now, anybody who talks stuff like this, hate, you're suspended, starting now. And now it's Extreme Rules. We're copying WWE. Now it's Extreme. You do anything like this, you're suspended an entire month without pay. 1 month. Not a day, not a week, not 2 weeks, an entire month. Because some of these guys, they probably spend more than they get paid, so they need that month of pay. So that might shut them up.
And that's what's going to say that, Paul. What is the best way to shut up anybody? Touch the pocket. Touch the pocket. Oh, touch their money. That's what you do.
Yep.
So, pretty much let's go to Dynamite, Paul, because he ended up, like you said, suspending Bucks, Omega, and also CM Punk. Again, he's injured.
But they never said that. They never mentioned. I just want to say they never mentioned any of those people's by name. They never said, oh, I had to strip CM Punk. No, it said, the AEW World Heavyweight Championship and the Trios Championships were relinquished or vacated, whichever word he used. But, they never mentioned anyone by name. And like you said, we were going to have the trios. The
trios match was going to be the Death Triangle against the Best Friends. And that was really cool. And, finally, we get to see these guys as the winners. The Death Triangle, these guys deserve this opportunity because in PAC, see, this is a good, important note, piece of, information about it. He is the first double champion.
Unfortunately, it had to be... I mean, I'm not as high on the Lucha Bros and PAC and all them as I used to be. And unfortunately, this had to be a team of like the Best Friends. So it was gimmick versus gimmick. You had the hand in the pockets, and then you had the zero, the no fear, all that shit. And it's too much for me in a match. And then Danhausen and all this stuff.
Oh, that's bad. Yeah, Danhausen.
You know what I mean? I can't. It literally feels like I'm watching something at a county fair. It feels really bad. It doesn't feel good. I mean, these guys winning, PAC being the first double champ. I mean, that's all cool stuff for him, definitely. But
make him defend it.
I mean, the only kind of thing I'm going to say is he's holding 2 cursed belts. He's holding 2 joke championships. The
the trios want to start on in the wrong foot. That's not the intention.
And so did the
before
Atlantic
thing.
one. What
The
you
Atlantic one is just way too much, you know. It's
Yeah,
just like the 24/7 right now.
you defended on a pre-show, really?
Yeah. That doesn't remind you like when he was cruiserweight champion and he was defending against.
Yeah, that
Austin
doesn't get
Aries
a
and stuff like that.
belt over. But
Exactly.
they're
So,
the
like, I mean,
they're the new trios champs. There they are.
Yeah, at least you know, like they are the ones responsible now. They need to make those titles legit. They need to like make those opportunities.
And when did we have the
important.
Moxley? Was the Moxley promo then, or when was the Mox? Or was that with MJF?
That was MJF first because MJF also
okay.
supposedly
That's
he
when we had
witnessed
the
the whole
Moxley
like
promo.
you know brawl with all these guys. But like this was good also because like see MJF keeps mentioning Triple H, kept mentioning Cody Rhodes, and he like says that 2024 is going to be the year because we're going to see where he ended up landing. So this is cool. And Moxley, of course, you know, like a lot of people don't like his style of wrestling. A lot of people don't like him, but it means he's the workhorse of AEW. Supposedly he was going to be on vacation. You know, he loses to Punk, take, you know, a few months off, enjoy your family, Renee, the kid, all of that. Now, so can you come back? We need you because, you know, these other assholes don't know what they're doing.
He's just like, oh yeah, you know, I got, you know, called, you know, about like coming back for 2 more weeks and this and that. I mean, MJF great promo, started off, you know, kissing ass to the New York fans, and he was over there because he's from Long Island, and you know he was playing it up and oh, so happy to be back, blah blah blah. He's a baby face. Then he, you know, switched it up, went to heel. And Moxley, I mean, I still don't like him in the ring, and even when he cuts a good promo that the fans are behind it, and even I buy it a little bit, not fully. I'm not fully drinking the Kool-Aid like they are, and you know, oh man, you know, this is the greatest thing ever. But a lot of people said, man, this felt good. This felt old school, like when AEW really was all about changing the world. That's kind of like the promo Moxley was cutting. Like he's like, you know, this is why I came here, not for this bullshit. And again, they knew they couldn't mention anybody by name, but you know, Moxley kind of beat around the bush a little bit. He cut a good promo. And, you know, it was exciting, and we saw the bracket. Do you have a picture of the bracket at all?
Yeah,
for the tournament? Yeah, you know, we saw a picture. So, you know, everybody was explained. So you see former champions, and then you see the two
champion Danielson.
Yeah, and the only one
a lot of accolades with the guys. That was cool.
Yeah, the only one who was just like kind of there, it would be Danielson. I mean, maybe if he wasn't presented like shit the past, you know, couple months, he would make a little more sense. But you had 2 of the greatest TNT champions of this, you know, of this show, you could say, in Guevara and Darby Allin. You had the first champion of Jericho, you know, Moxley, 2-time champion, Hangman Page champion. So, you know, this stuff is going to be good. And, you know, I'm looking forward to it. And then, you know, later on, I don't know if you caught it, but then they went to a promo then to Chris Jericho.
Yeah,
talking about all this stuff, and this I was like, you idiots, because I'm thinking unless this match is the main event and that's the last thing we see, they're stupid. And it wasn't, because the match immediately followed it. They had a promo with Chris Jericho, and he's talking about the matchups and the brackets and everything. He's like, oh yeah, you know, when I face Danielson next week, I'll beat him again. And they're like, huh?
And he's probably not, because he's not gonna lose twice to, you know, Jericho.
Yeah, and it's like, but he also Danielson didn't even beat Hangman Adam Page yet.
Yes.
He still had to have the match, and then immediately following is the match. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe nobody will say anything. Maybe they'll just be like, okay, we'll just pretend Jericho didn't spoil it, you know, whatever. Then you hear Tony Schiavone. I guess Jericho thinks Danielson's gonna win. He must have mentioned it 3 times. That's another time somebody should just go, Tony, shut the fuck up.
Don't give it
stop telling people. But I mean, the match that they had, you know, they hyped it up, Hangman Adam Page and Bryan Danielson 3, and that was a great match. And you know, but Bryan Danielson got the win with the O'Connor roll. You know, he hit the knee, but you know, Page rolled out, all this stuff. I mean, great match. It wasn't as great as their other 2, but still, for what it was here on this show, thrown together, you know, exactly. It was a fantastic match, and Danielson win like Jericho predicted or spoiled for us. And
spoiled, I would say more spoiled.
You know, and you know, do you want to talk about a little bit of the stuff with the women here before we get to the main event? Or what?
You have like Danielson against Jericho. Danielson probably is going to end up going to the finals. I'm saying maybe Moxley, and then we're going to see like members of the, you know, the club going at each other, and then probably.
I mean, to be honest, do you want to know what I would love to see for the finals of this? And if this was the finals, people would lose their mind, because that would mean one of these two guys is going to be your world champion. And we saw also a promo, Darby Allin and Sting. Darby Allin to Sammy Guevara, and he goes, I'm not bringing Sting out there. We're two of the greatest. We're going to tear it up, blah, blah, blah. I used to respect you. Now you're bullshit and this and that. But imagine if it's Darby Allin and Bryan Danielson is the finals of this thing.
Oh, yeah. No, that's what I mean.
One of those two guys is going to be your world champ. But at the end of the show, and then we'll talk about Thunder Rosa.
Well, we're going to talk about really quick about this first. Toni Storm beat Penelope Ford. She's the current AEW Women's Champion. A lot of people think that Thunder Rosa has requested her release, and also they're making it seem that the back injury that she has is not as worse as people believe it is. So you see, there's a lot of drama going on. There's a lot of backstage problems that are happening, and unfortunately, everything's coming out because Tony Khan, one more time, and I'm not suggesting he's the problem. I'm just saying that he's not the solution. By just knowing how to dominate, how to make sure that all egos are handled. He's not being
because, like I said, I think if he could focus solely on AEW and maybe on the Jaguars, it should just be on AEW. Give up the football team to somebody else.
Yes.
Whatever. If wrestling is really your passion. But
yes, and Paul, like you said, we got to see a brand new Ring of Honor Pure Champion. The main event was Wheeler Yuta going against Daniel Garcia. Really cool match. This is a different type of matches. We had also judges. Jerry Lynn was one of them, and in the end, Daniel Garcia gets the win, and Danielson rather than beat Jericho. So the storyline continues. They're merging those storylines. Then you get to see Danielson celebrating and introducing the brand new, Pure Champion. This is cool. I like it. I enjoy for what it is, at least because the storyline also with Jericho cross paths, so that's good.
Yeah, and I think maybe when he beats Jericho, maybe something's gonna happen where he turns on Garcia and stuff in this. But I don't know. Both of these guys, I think in the ring they get themselves over, but then when they talk, you're like, man, these guys aren't ready. And when you look at them, it looks to me. And again, no offense to these guys, but it looks like two high school kids took their shirts off and they just started fighting in the parking lot because they're not ripped, and you don't have to be 7 foot to look ripped. Danielson, now he has a beard and the long hair helps him look a little bit more mature. But a guy like Pac's not very tall, but he's ripped. He looks.
No, he is. You know what I mean.
He looks
right there. Yeah.
Buddy Murphy, same thing.
Yep.
Got Tony Nese, same thing, even though Tony Nese is a jobber, but, same thing. These guys, they at least have a physique. They don't look like a 17-year-old boy, but, that was Dynamite, all things considered, for the stuff that he's doing with the main event picture. I think, for the title picture, I think is great.
It's good.
We're going to see a rematch for the tag titles, Arthur Ashe and
this is going to be this is going to be also they're going to make it in the. It's going to be in the Entourage, like you said, in the shows in New York. It is going to be, the Acclaim going against the Swerve in Our Glory.
And did you hear what they asked? It was Swerve in Our Glory and Tony Khan were sitting there, and somebody asked him, hey, man, this crowd was so hot for the Acclaimed. Did you think about making the audible and dropping the titles to the Acclaimed? Tony Khan's like, so no, no, he just kind of didn't know what to say, and he's just like, oh no, I don't want to answer that, whatever. He's like, why don't you ask the tag champions a question, pertaining to the match? And the guy goes, okay, hey, I'm going to ask you, because the crowd was so into the Acclaimed, should they have did an audible and you guys dropped the titles to the Acclaimed? They were just like, so they played it up like heels a little bit,
yes,
and stuff, but
absolutely.
I think that they're gonna drop it to the Acclaimed here because they're over, and they're a good team.
It needs their time. Even the rapper is doing the attitude adjustment. John Cena caught notice to that, so he's been like, oh, that's legit.
You lost some big stars, and you have way too many tag teams and all these other bullshit teams. Maybe you need to split Keith Lee and Swerve up and get them in the singles division.
Yeah, that's fine. It's use both of them into the single pads. That will be that will be the best thing that you could do. Paul, let's talk about this because this is actually mental health. This is also something that we like to talk about to encourage everybody that has issues with this big thing. This is something that is not supposed to be taken lightly. Malakai Black got his release, but it's a conditional. What does that mean? Conditional means that is because something out of in regards to his health. He's saying that like he has a lot of mental issues and he needs to go away, take care of them, and maybe he will make a return to AEW. But all of our thoughts, prayers, and everything, good positive vibes to Malakai Black. Remember at the end of the match, he was like holding everybody, the Malakai, like the House of Black, like he was actually kissing everybody, saying goodbye. The guys probably had a really difficult year. Selena Vega and everything, like they are away. Then she's in another part of the world. He's in another part of the world. They're separated, so maybe that's part of the issue. We'll see what happens, but I mean, for the foreseeable future, he's just going to take care of himself. So good luck to Malakai Black.
Yeah, and the conditional release, I don't think is anything to do with the condition he has. The condition is you can stay home and you're released, but you can't go wrestle for anybody else.
Yeah.
like if you're gonna come back to wrestling, it has to be with us, and then you're back on our contract. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
You're released, because it's not gonna be like, oh yeah, Malakai Black is released, but Aleister Black pops up here on WWE.
No. Absolutely not.
Nothing like that. But I mean, yeah, best of luck to this guy, man. Go take care of yourself. But there's that. Everything going on with the media scrum and people hating each other. Eddie Kingston, like we talked about, obviously all the stuff, CM Punk and the Elite,
a lot of stuff. Yes.
And then with Thunder Rosa, whether she's making that up or not, and she wants out of there, man, it's just a lot of stuff going on in AEW. So that I think the backstage stuff makes the show on Wednesday more interesting, because you want see how the backstage stuff affects,
because they involve in
what
they involve in the live situations, the real live situations into the show. And that's what the Attitude Era used to do. They used to play those little things into.
Well, I didn't mean it like that. I just meant it's like, man, like these guys are fucking up so bad. I want to see what kind of mess Tony Khan's gonna make them.
Like
to me, they don't.
It creates like at least attention, and that's maybe within themselves they want that.
I think they should incorporate it better. They should have had the Elite out there, CM Punk, Ace Steel, and they should have found another partner, and they should have been a six-man.
Do it. Yeah.
If they want to book it legit.
Somebody that likes CM Punk, there's not a lot of people that actually you can find. Remembering those things, you find yourself a partner and somebody will make a huge return. Well, maybe CM Punk doesn't have a lot of friends over there. But Paul, let's switch gears. That was AEW Dynamite and our thoughts for like the media scrum. So thank you so very much again. Comment, let us know what you guys feel about this. Monday Night Raw, like the main thing about this show was like the return of Braun Strowman. This guy finally makes, like you said, everybody that was waiting for him. A lot of people are happy. He looks great in the physique, and he's probably learned a lot more. But worth saying that Raquel Gonzalez or Raquel Rodriguez is his girlfriend, so that's probably a reason also that he's going to be on SmackDown. But what is going to be able to add to WWE, Paul? If you are Braun Strowman and you're Triple H, what are you going to do with Braun Strowman?
If I'm the booker and Raquel is like, can you hey Poppy, can you bring in my Poppy? And I'm like, okay, so okay, I bring him in. What am I doing with this guy? I really don't know. You could build him up to feud with a Bobby Lashley, but to me, I could see him maybe being a US champ. I could see Bobby Lashley going, yeah, okay, I'll put this guy over.
They had a rivalry before, remember?
Yeah,
they've done a lot of matches.
Because he went through the big screen and everything, and the one thing, it's like, I don't see him beating Walter. I don't see him beating Roman Reigns. I don't see him beating Drew McIntyre or somebody like that.
Like you don't.
Yeah, I don't, especially because what did I say earlier about Karrion Kross? When Karrion Kross came back, what did he do? He feuded with somebody who was main event in a Drew McIntyre and a Roman Reigns. Braun Strowman comes back in the middle of a 4-way tag team match to determine a number one contender for the Usos, which was never determined. So, and he doesn't come out to interrupt Bobby Lashley. He doesn't come out to interrupt Roman Reigns or Walter or anyone like that. He comes out to interrupt this match. He's still feuding with Chad Gable and Otis. So to me, he came out and he started feuding with the mid card, and I think that's where he's going to be.
Like for example, like again, if you build him up again to what they tried to do in 2017, the same thing that they tried. Hey, let's build him up. He probably knows how to handle himself in the microphone better. The promos are more believable. Then we can start believing in him one more time to be like that person that can easily beat Roman Reigns, Karrion Kross. He needs a meaningful win. Remember what Lashley did to him when he beat him and then he became number one contender.
Or he needs
now
a
it's
manager.
the other way around.
I mean, the one thing, and this could be me coming completely out of left field, but I'm like, why is he feuding with Gable and Otis?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what were Gable and Otis just doing before this? And it was that thing with Kurt Angle.
Yes.
But I'm like, that was probably just because they were in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
But I'm like, maybe you bring Kurt Angle back to be his manager, but I don't know if Kurt Angle would be a good manager. He might not, I don't know if, because Kurt's
I
never,
don't
not
see him doing that.
Kurt's not the best promo. But I'm like, I still think Strowman needs a manager. I think if he had somebody talk for him and he had a manager, I think that would just make him, especially if it was a manager who could really talk, and then that manager could feud with a Paul Heyman, war of words and stuff. I really don't know what you do with Braun Strowman, but, another character that kind of had a change, which I think was for the better, was Dominic Mysterio. We saw Edge and Ray, they were out there kind of promo. And, Ray pretty much said that he wants a match with anybody, whether it's Finn Balor or Damian Priest. He didn't care. He had the match with Priest. Then Dominic comes out. He has the hair. It's, shaved at the sides. He looks a little bit more like Eddie every day. And Ray has said, hey, I made him a man. So, that's legit. Everybody who's jealous on the internet, hey, Dominic, he's getting some of that. But, then he causes a distraction and Damian Priest gets the win there. And, this is good at some development. And I think it's at least, the most interesting thing we've seen for Dominic, and we've seen them together for so long. And Ray is just anytime Ray is selling, and he sells here with his visuals just to his son, you feel bad for Ray.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think this is something where you get invested.
Oh, yeah. No, this is going to be good because, like you said, they needed that. They've been planning this the whole time, but I guess Vince wasn't sure about it. There were situations that made them, change plans, and for that reason, now is the time. They added, another member to Judgment Day. Finally, they're a more believable group. And now, we're going to see Dominic fighting Edge. This is going to happen next week on Monday Night Raw. So this is going to be cool. Hopefully, with, the antics of the Judgment Day, Dominic can get the win, and maybe Rey Mysterio also, playing a factor here. So, he needed this to break up with his dad, and now we're going to see what Dominic is able to give us character-wise. And, as a wrestler, I feel that, he has a lot of more opportunity to grow, but this is going to be his time to be okay, you're on your own. Yes. I'm not, we're not the tag, you're not my kid anymore. It's do your own thing. This is going to be good. And also, we're going to see this on Monday Night Raw, the in-ring debut or return of Johnny Gargano. He's going to go against Austin Theory. That's going to be really cool. A lot of people hating on Johnny Gargano. I think that, he's going to add a lot. Character-wise, he was okay. When he tried to be, with his wife and all of that, that was a little, hard to watch. But
you got to do the best.
This is going to be another opportunity for him. Go ahead, Bob.
You got to do the heart and soul of NXT version of Johnny Gargano. If you're going to try to get the most popular version of him, the version that was most over, that the people cared about the most, it was that underdog versus Andrade where, hey, I was never meant to be here because look at me. I'm small. I'm skinny. I'm bullshit. Everybody says you can't do it, kid. Why don't you just give up? Well, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep fighting, keep clawing and scratching my way to get, what I want. And, that was the matches with Andrade, Aleister Black, all those fantastic matches.
Tommaso Ciampa.
Yeah, all that stuff. I think that's the version you need. When he was in the way and, all that garbage, that ruined it. That was like Stone Cold turning heel and then, me and Kurt Angle or me and Vince and all that. That just ruined everything you did in 98, 99, 97, all that stuff. And just, it's not good. So that's kind of the same thing, I'm seeing with this. But... Tell
me a little bit about this also, Paul, because now we're going to see the tag team championship match. Hopefully this here, we're going to see a title switch. Io Sky and Dakota Kai need those belts, and Control Damage or Damage Control, that group needs those belts because then they're going to be legit. They're going to legitimize these girls. And I mean, Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah, they did, Raquel is really good at having those titles for the first time. I remember NXT when she was champ with Dakota Kai for an hour or 2 hours, and then they lost those belts. So I feel that it's better on having the belts on what it is heels rather than a baby face. That's at least my thought. And you tell me.
I mean, and they defended the belts against Doudrop and Nikki Ash on Monday Night Raw. So I mean, okay, they're getting some defenses and are not defended, but they had a match against them and stuff. But I think they said is this their first title defense?
Yes, it is going to be. Yeah,
and
today they fought a Toxic Attraction, but
yeah,
not for
on SmackDown they fought Toxic Attraction, so they're fighting some matches, but I don't think they're going to drop the belts here. I think they're going to defend them and stuff. But you know, the main match, you know, we saw Bianca Belair. You know, she came out. Her and Bailey had a war of words and a good promo and stuff. And again, you know, that's a match I'm excited for, and that might be one where a title would maybe change, maybe because you really got to get Bailey over. I think, you know, she's coming back. You know, you want to establish her as somebody who's credible, but you also want to establish these two. Maybe this ends in a no contest, something like that, or at least a way if it ends, you know, maybe it ends with a winner, but that the feud continues. Maybe you don't do a title switch, but you do something, you know, that the feud continues, because I think you need to do something where you can't have Io and Dakota lose, because again, same thing with Bailey. You can't have these women just return and lose, but also, man, this is your new champs. This is, you know, their first title defense.
Well, that's what for me. Like we need damage control to have those belts, because it's a lot easier. That's how you make groups relevant. You know, like Raquel and Aaliyah, they can be chasing for a little bit. We'll see, but like that's at least my thought. That's what I will book it. That's how I will play it at. Because like you said, at some point Bailey is going to get the Raw Women's Championship from Bianca Belair. There you go. You have a group completely established, kind of what you have with Toxic Attraction on NXT. You know, like they had the tag belts and Mandy has the NXT Women's Championship. So that's what I will see. But like this is pretty much Paul. We went through like 3 shows. You know, we gave news, we gave a lot of stuff. So family, I think that like we hope you guys enjoyed it. You know, thank you to everybody that's watched. Thank you for Stephen Butler, always, like, you know, a friend of the house. And, you know, let us know what you guys feel, because we're going to have a lot of like shows like this, talking about rumors, news, backstage stuff, everything that comes out. We will be like analyzing it, talking to every single one of you. And Paul, your closing thoughts before we go.
You know, it's just one of those things where, like we said, WWE, they're doing a lot of stuff right. And, you know, there's a lot of things, you know, if you look at it and think about it, it's like, man, this is actually pretty exciting, especially the show like Clash at the Castle and everything going on. But like we said, all of it almost seems like it's non-existent when you look at all the drama going on at AEW. So, and it's a crazy time. And, you know, I saw a tweet that really made me think, man, wrestling really is crazy. Even if it's not as popular as it was or drew as much money, it's really a crazy time right now. Because they said, does anybody remember that Stone Cold Steve Austin was the main event of WrestleMania?
No.
With all the craziness that's going on, does that, you know, you would think that that's something people go, oh my God, yeah, remember him when he stunnered McMahon and him and Kevin Owens and it was crazy. You know, you would, but you know, now CM Punk is beating up people and Ace Steel's getting bitten by Kenny Omega.
And the dog, the wife.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy, but you know, anytime craziness happens, you know, Rope Break's going to be here to report on
family.
it.
So thank you so very much to every single one of you. One more time, don't forget to follow us. We're absolutely everywhere. And, you know, Paul's going to tell us every single thing. But thank you to every single one of you one more time. The only thing we always ask is a comment, a like, and a subscription, just because we want to keep growing for every single one of you. Give us ideas. We have a lot of things in the making. So thank you one more time, Paul. Where can they find us?
That's Rope Break on Facebook, DOG Rope Break on Twitter, Original Rope Break on Instagram, Twitch, and TikTok, and of course right here on YouTube, the home of the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the Original Rope Break.
And you and me have one more thing left to say, and that is...